Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Commodity TV today with an update interview with the Vice President Exploration, Fred Speidel. And he's from Maple Gold Mines, and Maple Gold Mines just released a fantastic drill hole again from the Douay Gold Project. You remember the 355 square kilometer large project. And yeah, of course, we want to talk about it. Fred, good morning.
Good morning. How are you all?
I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you too. And I'm pretty sure after that fantastic drill result, you're feeling really good. And we just saw that you had like 1.23 grams gold per ton over 75 meters, including 1.61 grams gold per ton over 31 meters. And yeah, you have cut mineralization over 164 meters, and this starting only from 108 meters downhole. So congratulations on that. And yeah, can you bring that hole a bit into the context of your property and what it means to the company?
Yeah, so basically one of the focuses for this current round of drilling and future drilling has been and will continue to be on areas that have higher than deposit average grades and near surface, because that's very important from an economic perspective. Mm-hmm. So we previously defined areas that we thought had best potential for that sort of thing. Obviously, Douay West has significant amounts of near-surface, very high-grade material, but also the western part of Porphyry Zone, which is adjacent to Douay West, also had some significant historical intercepts. In spite of that, though, there were some significant areas that had fairly sparse drilling, and so what we're pursuing is to infill those areas that lack drilling in areas where we thought that we could get some more of this of these long interceptions of relatively high grade. Mm-hmm. So we ended up putting 3 holes in this area, and there's actually a number of objectives there. We were trying to test the continuity of this intrusive hosted, like in porphyry, basically, gold mineralization. We were also testing the northern and the eastern continuity of an indicated resource block that we have in that area. Mm-hmm. And so, I think the results show quite conclusively that mineralization is quite continuous in this area, and that was actually pointed out by when we did the resource estimation update in late 2019. That was one of the better areas in terms of grade and continuity, and that obviously, because mineralization starts near surface, needs to be pursued further. So those were the objectives, and the results are quite encouraging.
Mm-hmm, fantastic. So that means also, I think that those grades are also much higher than the average grade in the resource estimate. Is that right?
Yes, the average grade in the porphyry zone is somewhere around 1 gram per ton. And we're talking about intercepts here that are roughly 20% higher than deposit average. So we're certainly looking at, call it a feeder zone or a center. And it makes sense from a geological perspective, because this mineralization is, while it's one of the 3 styles that we recognize as existing on the property, it's largely intrusive hosted. So we're not getting a mix of intrusive rocks and high iron basalts. It's basically all intrusive. And I think the photograph that we show in the press release demonstrates that quite clearly. If you compare that photograph to others that we've shown in other intercepts in other areas, you can see that it's basically all intrusion. It's not a shear zone, it's a crackle breccia, so you get these little irregular fractures going throughout the rock with very pretty, actually, with a lot of quartz, calcite, fluorite, sulfite, and of course gold. So it's very interesting rock.
Mm-hmm. And if I understood that correct, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks to me a little bit like that this is also deeper and wider than the conceptual pit now. So it looks to me like that you can like extend or enlarge the conceptual pit, right?
It's a possibility, and certainly that was indicated from the previous release for hole 283. That was a long section though, and so we're showing more of just a different perspective. So yes, I think we can say that this higher than average grade is present from near surface right down to base of pit. And depending on where you cut your section, you are going to get additional mineralization below base of pit. So in general, that's what happens in these kinds of systems. They have feeder zones. And so you have to be able to determine where those feeder zones are and pursue them.
Okay, fantastic. So what would be, let's say, the next immediate step after that hole? What do you want to drill? What are you looking at?
Yeah, we can see in the 3D model, again, I think there's a movie associated with the press.
Yes.
You can see that the 2020 holes, which are the ones with the green dots, they're all on the eastern margin of the current indicated resource. The current indicated resource is still a relatively small block, and that's because it was not possible to grab the results from the adjacent holes because they were too far away. By definition, in this case, indicated requires that we project no further than 50 to 60 meters from the nearest hole. So there's some infill drilling that needs to be done to further upgrade from inferred to indicated. But beyond that, what's of interest to us is to expand the area of higher grade further to the east, where we still have these drilling gaps that we're also showing in one of our figures. So we're already in the process of planning areas where appropriately placed holes will allow us to expand the indicated resources, and will also allow us to expand the area of higher than deposit average grades. So basically, further to the east and better defining the northern boundary of this higher grade zone is also important.
Great. And all these drill results, and also, let's say, the future ones you hopefully can drill within the next months, will they then be included into a new resource estimate? Maybe, I don't know, Q1 2021 or something like that?
I would think that given that we've only drilled 4,400 meters, and while there have been significant impacts from some of the better results that we have received, it's probably more cost effective for us to do a few drill campaigns. So it really depends on what the scale of the next drill campaign will be. We do have hopes to be able to drill in some areas, not necessarily here in the West Porphyry, which is rather swampy, but elsewhere on the property. There are areas with higher ground or with all-season access roads where we could conceivably do a few holes in late summer. But really the question is going to be, before we do the next resource estimation update, how much drilling will we have been able to do? Just to remind listeners that our 2020 drill program was interrupted by COVID-19. So, you know, as I said, we were only able to do 4,400 meters. Still, you know, we had a good distribution of holes for that aborted campaign. And so we tested 531 zone, we tested Northwest zone, we tested Nika and Porphyry zone.
Exactly. That was also the thing from your press release from 4th June, where you summarized a little bit your winter drilling. Can you comment on that also a little bit? What was like for you personally a real highlight? What was a very important result out of this winter drilling campaign?
Yeah, I would say that beyond obviously the hole we just released, probably the other hole that struck me as being very significant was the Northwest zone intercept. It was important because that intercept started right at the base of overburden. So we're again possibly looking at another near surface high grade, i.e. what we're visualizing as future starter pits in that area. And the interesting thing in the Northwest zone is it's a different style of mineralization. So there's a geological and structural contact that runs through there, runs through the central zone and extends all the way to the main zone. And that whole trend from main to central to northwest has significant drilling gaps locally of a kilometer or so. So there's smaller gaps and there's larger gaps. Basically, what we need to do is define additional criteria by which we will decide where within this geological and structural trends there are more favorable zones for drilling. So the Northwest zone has been very encouraging in that regard because of that particular geological context back on the map. We hadn't done any drilling there for quite some time. It's a bit the same thing as 531 zone, where we hadn't done any drilling for quite some time either. And in 2019, we got our best intercept of the campaign there. So, you know, while we do want to continue focusing on areas with higher grade within the core of the resource, we're not going to stop exploring on the margin of the system and also further afield. We did a number of work in different areas, both within the resource area and outside of it, with some positive results. So we'll continue testing exploration targets.
Fantastic. So what would be like an overall target for you 2020? What do you want to achieve, or what do you hope to find?
Well, the geophysical work defines some targets that are rather interesting. One, by supporting our hypothesis of an east-southeast continuity of the higher grade mineralization that we reported in 2019. There's a very nice geophysical anomaly there that's completely open. So we have to close off those anomalies and see how far the sulfide system that is the source of the chargeability anomalies there, how far it extends. Because again, in the 531 zone, we have a drilling gap of something like 700 meters. Then we get one drill hole, which has an intercept in it. Then we get another drilling gap of something like 100 meters with no drilling whatsoever. So really, if the geophysical anomaly extends out that far, then that'll give us quite some space to do additional drilling. In addition to that, we did 2 surveys, actually, one in 2019, one in 2020. About roughly 3 kilometers to the northeast of the resource area, and we call that our northeast target area. And that's a similar target style as the Vesa deposit, which recently closed. And that was a small deposit, but still 500,000 ounces of about 6 grams per ton. That's significantly higher grade than our average grade at the present point in time at Douay. So it would have a significant impact to find 1 or 2 of those lenses. And basically, the contact that I mentioned before from the northwest zone down to main zone is the same geological context as the northeast target area, is the same geological context as the Vesa mine, which is some 12 kilometers further to the east of the end of our property. So all of these brownfields, I guess, targets, they have some significant potential. So really what we'd like to do between now and the end of the year is close off our geophysical anomalies, and to the extent that we can, test those targets that are in higher and drier ground. And beyond that, of course, prepare for the winter 2021 drill program, where we will again be focusing on our higher grade areas within the resource, but at the same time testing some of these brownfields and more exploration type target.
Fantastic. Super. That sounds like a great plan, I would say. Last question. I saw also that you appointed Dr. Gerald Riverin, whatever it is in English then, to the board of directors and to the technical advisory committee. Why is the gentleman so important? And I think you know each other, right?
Yeah, when I started my career back in 1988, and I guess I'm dating myself, at the time, he was my boss's boss. And so my first job was to be responsible for brownfields exploration around the Lac Short gold mine. And Lac Short it's closed now, is very similar to Douay, like right down to the presence of carbonatite. And so after that, I was assigned to further development of the Troilus deposit. And so both of these are intrusive related system. And Gerald was instrumental in moving the Troilus deposit forward. So he's quite familiar with these intrusive related systems. And beyond that, he is a VMS specialist. So I think the combination of knowledge about these different deposit types that occur within the Douay property and within the region is very important for us. And beyond that, he basically spent his entire career working in North America and specifically in Quebec. So he has a very broad spectrum of knowledge that he'll be welcome in terms of bouncing ideas off of.
Super. Yeah, that's always important because knowledge and experience always helps in exploration. And I think combining you and also Gerald, then I think David Broughton is also on the technical board, right? I think that's a real exploration force power, I would call it.
Yeah, I think so. I look forward to that arrangement, to working with Gerald and David and Maurice, of course.
Super. Perfect. Well, Fred, thank you very much. It was a great insight, also geologically. And yeah, we look forward to your next results then, hopefully quite soon then. And yeah, last question. You can now restart with the drilling, right? That's correct?
Yes, as of May 11, exploration work has restarted in Quebec, of course, under a number of conditions. So we're really more constrained by terrain conditions, like it is wet and swampy.
Okay.
Towards the tail end of the summer, things dry up a little bit, so the higher ground is potentially accessible. So we'll probably be looking at that. But yes, things are slowly restarting in Quebec, and that's
super.
Good. Yep.
Fantastic. Then we look forward to the next news release, and I would say keep it going and find the gold.
That's what we're doing.
Thank you, Fred. Thank you very much. All the best to Canada. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Fred Speidel, the Vice President of Exploration of Maple Gold Mines. And you heard it, fantastic drill results, especially below the Conceptual Pit, and also lifting up probably the economics for the future and much, much higher grades, approximately 20 to 30% higher than the average resource grade. This is what we want to see. And the guys keep it going. They can restart now after the COVID-19 slowdown and lockdown. And yeah, we look forward to more drill results. I would suggest you check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland, and all the best to Canada. Thanks, Fred, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you.